I know if I feel good, my libido's high, everything else is fine. Because that's an underrated factor in success. Because you asked me earlier about the traits. You have to prioritize your health. And that was one of the main reasons that I wanted to really start making money, because I knew it would require more money to really focus on my health. And that's a staple for me. Peace in my life and feeling good. If I have that, then everything else is going to get taken care of.
And welcome back to Podcast on Wheels. I'm your host, Bryan Smith. And today we've got a real treat for you guys. Today we've got Mr. Bryan Casella. He is a real leader, entrepreneur, sales coach, known for mastering the mindset, dominating real estate, and helping thousands level up financially. Thank you, BC, for joining us again.
Bryan, appreciate it, man. Always a pleasure to be on here with you, man. Let's get into it.
All right, brother. So I was inside studying up on your content earlier because it's true value. So as far as the mindset shift, that was something that got me going today. So teach us about that.
Yeah. Lately something I've been doing on YouTube is I'll meet with my team, because temporarily right now, I had an office space here in Miami for a long time. We're in between right now where I got rid of it. I got into it with the property management and I decided to leave, and we'll be getting another space here soon. So in the meantime, what I'm doing for my local reps here is twice a week we're getting together and we're doing training, right? We train for an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, depending on the day. So what I've done is, since I always record those trainings out in public, I'll start putting little snippets on YouTube, right? And people will gravitate towards certain little things that I say. So you brought up mindset, right? One of the things that I was having a discussion with the other day in one of those trainings with some of my agents is I was telling them, I said, look, every day that we get up and we work in our field, and this could be universally applicable, it's not just for real estate. I say the mindset really is your frame of mind, right? How you're looking at something, how you perceive it. When information comes in, how are you processing it? And I said, for many of you guys, because you're newer, right? These are my agents who are newer, 1 year or less in the business. I say, I'm sure that filter is negative. It's always, I don't have enough money. This lead's not converting. Typically negative, right? And people don't realize that that's their default in a lot of areas of life. People that always complain, there's always drama, there's always gossip, there's always something bad happening to them. And I say the majority of that is these individuals perceive and live and view the world through this filter of just bad and negative. Therefore, that's the reality that they create. So I said, although you guys are in a position where you're newer and it's tough, your emotions are all over the place, you're grinding, you have to really learn and start attuning your mind to see at the very least both sides of the coin. Can you at least see, okay, potentially what you don't have yet, but also what the future looks like, and get clear about that? Because those same individuals will give you a like Paramount Pictures movie-esque story about the negative stuff, and it moves them emotionally. But when I start asking them about, well, what does the future look like? What if that client says yes and you meet with them and this next week you take 2 listings, then what? You realize very quickly they've never even looked into that side. They've never considered it, and they haven't given it 1/10 of the attention, intensity, and focus that they've given the negative outcomes. And people don't realize that this literally shapes your existence. So a lot of the stuff that we do and talk and preach is based in that, because I know if internally I can get an individual to start reshaping, changing, growing, developing, that's naturally going to lead to them being more productive as a salesperson, as a real estate agent, or whatever it is. And that's why I think, especially the last couple of years, I've seen an explosion where a ton of like non-real estate people have been joining my program and my coaching, because they're seeing how important that stuff is. Like barbers, right? Insurance people, roofers, salespeople, non-salespeople. I have some 9-to-5ers in there now, just because they really understand, okay, if I can really get into my mind and start changing my identity, my values, my beliefs, some of these philosophies that I live my life by, I can really start to see some change, and that's naturally going to spill over into everything that you do. And that holistic approach is something that I've always focused on. And now more than ever, bro, I think it's very important, because that's missing. Everyone's running for the shiny object, I just want to go viral, that's going to fix all my problems. But in reality, when you shut the camera off, they're miserable, they're unfulfilled, they're not as successful as they claim. And it's kind of sad to see.
Yeah. And that's one thing. I'll throw this out there. Years ago, I had a business partner tell me, he said, you don't know anything. We were selling a product, and I really didn't know much about the product, but we had some good numbers. And he said, "You don't really know much about the product. How do you do this?" I said, "Well, I know people." And I feel like when I listen to you talk, and the reason it resonates with me and insurance and the different things, it's like your people skills and, like you're saying, adjusting that mindset to abundance more up, right?
Yeah, and it's a lot simpler than people think, but at the same time, it takes some effort, right? Like if every day you've had that negative filter, it's going to be very challenging for somebody to start waking up and then consciously taking their mind, getting away from that default mode and inserting new habits, new thought patterns, right? I would have people do drills where they got a piece of paper, right? Paper and pen. And I would say, hey, track your thoughts for a day, like when you talk to yourself, and start writing everything down throughout the day. And I would have people come back saying, holy shit, man, I had no idea I was talking to myself this way. Once I put it on paper, though, it became real. Then we go through the systematic process of rewiring it. But unless there's awareness on something, conscious awareness, right? All these things, this programming is subconscious. Until you bring it to your conscious awareness, you can't play with it, you can't change it, and there's nothing you can do. So that's kind of the intricacies of the mind that I always enjoyed, and that has allowed me to help change myself and other people. Because I always hated when someone said, oh, you're born this way, or because you're from this religion, this race, this culture, you're going to be XYZ. I never believed in that, bro. And just to see myself change and see so many, thousands of people around me now change, I know it's possible to change it if you tap into this mental technology 100%.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And everybody has access to that. That's the cool thing about it.
Yes.
If for me, as I've met guys and been able to do this show, and I was talking to someone earlier, and I said, it's funny. I used to look at TV series, for example, and maybe season 1 versus season 2. Season 2, the people in the show might look a little better. The script might be a little better. Everything starts to come together. And so then I look at the podcast and how and then I'm watching you, and it's like, okay, well, if I was here and BC was here and he's still going here, well, I got to get to here. And now we're going here now. And it's advantageous to be around guys like you, and just the proximity to that mindset, because, and I'll say, again, watching one of your YouTubes, I'm watching and I'm sitting there almost empathizing with the young man too, because I was like, I remember when I was sitting there going, no, I talk good about myself. I do. I promise I do, just not around you, or, you empathize. But so, you know, during that particular video, you also talked about investing and a story about a vehicle and trading. And that, I think, for a lot of listeners, it make a lot of sense to understand real numbers and things.
Yeah, so I brought up years ago, it's crazy to say it's been almost 10 years since I bought that Lamborghini, right? That I enjoyed, drove it for many years, put like almost 20,000 miles on that thing, took it on rallies. I mean, I beat that thing up, right? It was fun, but I
Right.
always wanted that car. So I gave the story on reality and how real people move compared to what the internet would say. Because when I first even announced that I was going to get a Lamborghini, of course, all the experts come up in the comment section. Well, if you can't buy it cash, you shouldn't buy it, this and that. So I was giving the kid a lesson on outside opinions versus verifiable facts. So I told him, hey, at the time I had another car, I traded it in, I put a little bit more money down, ended up putting about 100,000 down on that vehicle, right? Financed the rest. My payment was like 1,100 something. I forget what I said in the video, like 1,145. When people look at Lambos, though, they're used to the people who lease it for a year with the restricted miles, put like 10, 20 grand down, and then their monthly payments $3,000, $4,000, $5,000. I didn't do that. So I bought this car. I had at the time enough cash to probably cover it for sure. But what did I do? I took that extra money, right? And I bought real estate. So when I got the loan on the Lambo, I got it through a credit union at a 2.15% interest rate. So over the life of having that vehicle, I only paid like $4,000 in interest in 3 years, which is like $100 a month, roughly. Right. But at the same time, I took that other chunk sum of money, bought real estate that appreciated way more than 4,000 in that time, and it was paying me monthly. Yet I made another video back then, bro, like 8 years ago now, explaining it, breaking it down, showing the numbers. Still had those comment experts come in and tell me that I was wrong because I needed to buy it cash. Because look at it this way. If I take that same amount of money, I bought the car for just under 200 and I bought it all in cash, The moment I drive it off the lot, has it not decreased in value?
Yes.
Of course. So even if it went down 20, 30 grand, I just pissed away 20, 30 grand versus leveraging money. If you're intelligent, you know how to leverage money and you know what you're doing, it's a different ballgame. But we have to go beyond just these talking points that people give. So when I was speaking to the young man, the new member on my team, who, by the way, Tanner, shout out to him. He's crushing it. He's been with me 5-6 months. He moved from Arizona, uprooted his life, moved to Miami to be on my team. I think he's taken 9 or 10 listings already. Like, he's just on fire, right? Brand new real estate agent in his like early mid 20s, absolutely crushing it. So I made that point and I told him, I said, you're going to get advice from all kinds of people. Make sure that that advice is from a qualified source. Just like when I got into real estate, everyone and their mother told me not to do it. You're crazy. You're an athlete. You don't have the skills. You don't have the connections, blah, blah, blah. And look what I did. And now some of those people are just in complete cahoots about how I became successful, so much so that a lot of them start rumors about me and say I'm like dealing drugs or doing something like that. Because in their mind, it's so impossible for someone like me to become successful that there has to have been something shady that happened. Believe it or not, bro. I have people in my family who to this day think that I'm a drug dealer and I won't admit it. It's sad to say, bro, but that's just the world that we live in.
Yeah. Yeah. There's been conversations in my family, and I've asked the people to their face, I'm like, do you really think I would do that to do this? Similar situation. And I'm like, but hey, if that's how much you love me, then I guess we know who my real family is. It's these people that are out here, like-minded. So the next thing that I'm looking at is, what are some commonalities? What are some success traits that you've seen over the years?
Yeah. So, breaking bread with so many people in the industry, other salespeople, real estate professionals, entrepreneurs, it really boils down to a lot of simple stuff. One, for sure, whatever that end goal or vision was for that individual, be it money, financial freedom, a lifestyle, whatever it is, a lot of them, like myself, would be able to tell a story about how that was so dear to them in their heart that they would do anything to achieve it. Kind of like Napoleon Hill would say, a burning desire, right? Just to put it in layman's terms, that for sure. So people were clear. They might have been dead broke wherever they started, but they're like, hey, I want to be this person and I want to be in XYZ position in 5 or 10 years. And I will do anything. I'll move the mountains to get there. That's one. Number two, they were ruthlessly consistent with a lot of basics and fundamentals. This is something I drill into anybody who comes into my ecosystem immediately. Cut the fluff, cut the distractions out. You're going to be given a few set of simple tasks that may be boring, but you got to do them every day. Waking up on time, being consistent with that, right? Making your contacts, calling people, doing what you got to do, meeting with your clients, like all that stuff. Just basic framework that anybody would look at even today and say, oh, okay, this is simple, right? But that's what they followed for years, a lot of times without even adjusting anything. The schedule that I share with people, like on Instagram, of me was a schedule that I followed for the first 2.5, 3 years in the industry, right? And it's that simple. You'll see people arguing in the comments section. Oh, it can't be that simple. Yes, that's efficiency and that's doing what you need to do. That would be a second one, right? The third one is they were quick to make decisions and they understood that with that came learning and making bad decisions during that process. I walk people through that first car that I bought that I put on YouTube, that Audi, that 2014 Audi. It was a sweet car, dude. All blacked out, the emblems, it was a manual. I was like, oh man, I've sold a couple houses, I'm the man, right? Shouldn't have bought that car. Financial mistake. That was a quick decision. Now, many other decisions that I made were good, but that was one of the bad ones. That comes with the territory. High achievers, successful people make decisions often, quickly, and they move on. And if they made a mistake, they make the assessment, they adjust, and they keep moving. The average person is slow to make decisions. And that's a big problem because this is what people fail to realize. When I'm here faced with a decision, there's other opportunities coming by behind that door of decision that are running by without you being able to see it because you haven't opened this door. And a lot of people, they don't consider that. They just sit there and, well, I'm going to think about it and this and that. And you have other opportunities zooming by because you're stuck on that one decision that you should have made. So I want to give another shout out, Bryan, to Billy. I had a call with him right before this. He joined my program. We met within 5 to 10 minutes on the call. He's like, I'm ready to sign up. And I said, good, because you're already in this process of, you know what you want, you make a decision, you move forward. Right. Those would be, I mean, we can go all day, bro, but I would say those are probably some of the simplest applicable traits that I would see from either individuals coming up that are doing well or somebody who's already established and doing very, very well. Because the only other thing I maybe would bring up would be the circle. They're ruthless about the people in their circle. They'll get rid of the dead weight. They'll get rid of people who are not supportive, conducive to their growth, and they'll do whatever it takes to get in front of the right people, whether they have to travel a lot, spend money, get the connections, whatever. They'll do whatever they need to do to get in the room, get at the table, and get around the right people. And that's the biggest difference. And that's, like I mentioned earlier before we started recording, it's one of the main reasons I started my community. I looked around and said, I can't find other people that are of like mind. I need to create a safe haven, a space for people. And that's one of the top comments I get. They just love our community, how close knit it is and how on point it is. But I wanted to create that. So I brought that to fruition because I knew how important that was. And I get messages every day, man, thank you for the community and this group. And it's been amazing. It's like family to me. And that really warms my heart to get messages like that.
Yeah, that's awesome, brother. That's awesome. I feel like, what I hear consistently in your messaging as well is it's truth. It's real. Like you said, you cut the fluff. This is, we're not going to sit around and say it's something that it's not. And, but also you do a great job of also still having fun with it. Like to have that balance of, I see you laughing with your team. I see you encouraging them. And at the same time, you've got to be on point to make everything happen. So, for you, as you continue to level up, how do you keep that consistent with your team? Because they're engaged, they're having fun.
Yeah, it's definitely a point of contention. And I looked at a lot of traditional structures, whether that be like corporate America, traditional real estate teams. And I said, well, how can I come in and make this fun or make this different? So I looked at the traditional real estate model and I figured out, okay, what are the top two reasons that people leave? They're split or they feel like there's no growth capacity, meaning they have to leave the team to start their own or to ascend in the levels of an agent. So when I made my team, I gave people the option of, ranking up and growing a team within my team. And I made the splits a no-brainer for people. So it's not even a point of contention if they're considering leaving or doing anything. So I removed it. And that fueled people to be more excited and look at it a little bit differently because everywhere they looked, it was different. And here, amongst all the other things, we had that value add as well. So with me, I think what allowed the fun to kind of spill over into everything that I do is as I started removing a lot of those shackles of feeling like I need to conform, right? Worrying about what other people have to say, noticing that other people identified that and liked it. I wanted to make sure that within the community that I was the bold front and center representation of having fun and enjoying what you do. And that's why you always see me in a good mood, smiling. That doesn't mean that behind the scenes, I don't have a shitstorm happening because, right. Any entrepreneur can relate that stuff happens all the time. I've had a great year or two, the last year or two, but it's also been some of the most challenging times for me and the people around me as well. However, I know that if I'm in good spirits and I put that out, that's what it's about, because you mentioned it earlier. This is about people. People connect with that. People want to be around that. Anybody can Google and find a script or a notebook or a blueprint, but the people, the connections, the vibe, the community, that essence, that can't be faked and can't be bought. It has to be created and it has to be real. And when people tap into that, when they've never had it before, they're like, oh my God, like I found my new home. And that's really what I wanted to create because I felt everywhere I went, I had to inject that because no one else was really showing it or they were afraid to. So I said, why not? Right? This gives me the complete autonomy and ability to do it myself. Let me create it. Right. So for me, it's more just a personal self-individualistic expression being pumped up more and more and more. And it's spilling over into my work and how I do things. And now that community and team is getting bigger. Right. So it's creating a bigger effect. But really, at the end of the day, man, I've just stripped away a lot of the nonsense that people have that bogs them down. And I think it's just allowed me to be 100% the individual that I am. So I can have fun and smile and be lighthearted, even in these serious times.
Yeah. Yeah. And I know you played basketball and did those things and that athletic mindset, but this just it supersedes it because also you've experienced a ton of different things. And I thought about you the other day as we were going somewhere because I thought about one time I heard you say, yeah, when you first moved to the area you're at, you would stand on the corner and introduce yourself and meet people and talk to people and just build that relationship and network. And I'm saying that story to say thank you because as I was doing that, I started talking to somebody that led to something, and now he used to have a pod, and those relationships. So I just wanted to use a real life example of I'm thinking about, hey, BC's on the show this week. Oh, BC did this. Wait, there's a guy at the cigar shop. He's not talking to anybody. I'm gonna go chat him up.
Yep.
So and he's in sales, and so we had some stuff to talk about. But here's a question that I don't know that I've heard you answer. So if you had to start over, if you lost what you had built, if you had to start over, like how long do you think it would take? What would things that would be, where to start or what would you do?
Man, if I had to start over, I really don't think it would take too long to get things going again. Because when I look at it from like a business standpoint, if I had to start over in real estate and start over like online, which, based on our last podcast, I technically have because of being deplatformed and all that stuff, which, if you go to my YouTube channel, it's very easy to see that it's still very suppressed. I'm sure some of the videos you watched only get a couple hundred views and I have 200,000 subscribers. And that subscriber count has halted for 5 years now. So imagine if that never happened, where it would be, right? It'd probably be 500,000 or more, or maybe even more. So I basically get the viewership of somebody who is new. So in essence, I'm kind of already doing it in a way indirectly, right? But let's say, boom, I'm like out on the street. I just moved here and I'm starting from day one. A lot of what I did before, I know would still work today. And I think it even at a higher level because less people are doing it. So one of the earliest things that I did was I jumped on, getting up early, having that basic structure for my business, prioritizing 4, 5, 6 of hours of prospecting every day, talking to people. I mean, I would literally follow through with that. The only big change I would make if I started over today was I would have hit social media a lot harder in the beginning. I would have been more intentional about recording what I do during my day. Maybe not trying to be an influencer in quotes, because everybody's trying to do that now, but just showing people what I'm doing. Because I did that back then, but it was very occasional. And I just happened to explode, right? It wasn't until 2 years, 3 years in that I said, you know what, there's really something to this social media thing. Let me grow the brand. And that actually came to fruition more because I had in my mind that I wanted to go nationwide someday with my team. But on the regular retail side, oh man, I would have done pretty much exactly the same. Because early on, the only mistake that I made, I was too money hungry. Right. I was chasing all the people who wanted to do business now and just ignoring all the other people who wanted to do business in the future. And I wasn't capturing people's information in the beginning. But one day I got a call from a lady. She's like, oh, I got your business card. My son wants to buy. And I sat there. I was like, dude, I've talked to so many people and I haven't gotten their numbers unless they were serious. I need to start collecting everybody's information. Right. So that'd be a tweak that I'd make for sure. But dude, I was out there banging on doors, making calls, 4 or 5, 6 hours a day, talking to 40, 50, 60, 70 people a day. I was hustling, dude. So I think if I had to start over now, I would follow that same formula. And I would probably, again, being 12 years in the game now, I would start having success a lot sooner because I have the skill set and everything else and the experience.
Right.
Even now, like I'm pretty much out of the day to day in real estate, but I'll still go on an appointment, right? If we get a super luxury appointment or a newer agent needs help, I'll go with them. And just to see how I can go in and easily handle any objection or get stuff signed on my dude. If I was out here alone as a solo agent again and I just dropped everything, this would be like taking candy from a baby compared to when I started 12 years ago. So I can say that because I started with that right foundation, And I think the mistake that a lot of salespeople are doing now, especially in my industry, is they're too busy trying to get attention instead of being professional salespeople. This whole I get the ads all the time, bro. Oh, I just want to go viral and we'll teach you how to go viral. That's not going to pay your bills, right? That's not why people, hire you. Oh, I'm going to hire you, Bryan, because you have 300,000 followers on YouTube. I've never heard that from a client, by the way. They've been impressed with my social media, but they've never chosen me because I had the biggest social media following. Let's get something straight.
Nice. No, that's information, the real information that you can provide, and I'll say, a mutual friend of ours who's here in Alabama, Frank Donnelly, his kids are my kids' age, and we're doing some stuff together. But I asked him the other day, and he's doing okay. I said, can you do something at this time? And he said, no, that's my prospecting time. I said, how many do you have listed? What's going? I don't know. I think it was 7:30 in the morning. I was like, hey, bro, can I just give you a quick buzz in the morning before I get the kids off? And he's like, no, that's my I was like, wait, okay. So, and he was on the show and he's seen that. So it's out there, I mean, so how you guys have worked together and things like, what are some things that maybe you learned with him or he's doing well?
Yeah, shout out to Frank, man. He's crushing it. I know he moved from Southern California like I did. He ended up, over there in Alabama. And I think for him, he just, he's championing the basics. I know he got a coach. He's been doing his thing and he's been rocking and rolling, but he stays disciplined. And that's a great example of a standard that I ask any and all agents to have. I would even tell my people, hey, let your vendors know, let everybody know that you're not available from this time to this time because it's your prospecting time, even your clients, right?
Yeah.
But he's been doing his thing. I have been working more with him to do the events. Like I know we met at that first event and he's been doing some more. So he's definitely stepped into more of a leadership role. And it's cool to see because as his operation expands and he starts potentially growing a team and doing more volume, that skill set's going to come into handy. And us together growing that real network has really been fun. So it's been cool to see Frank's evolution and growth. Because when I first met him and we did the first event, he definitely wasn't as, I would say, skilled as a communicator as he is now. So to see the leadership skills and the communication improve has been impressive for sure.
Yeah. Well, I mean, when he's got to go right before you, it's not the best place to go. And I wasn't disappointed the last event that, I was supposed to go before you. And I was like, well, I'm just going to make this quick because I know the girl ahead of me and I know BC's behind me. So I'm just going to say, thank you guys. Hope you enjoyed lunch. BC's next. That was going to be my speech and free up my time for you. But, you mentioned that with Real, if somebody wanted to connect with you and reach out to find out, like we'll put it in the comments. And, I will say I did go down through your YouTube and see descriptions and stuff. So there's some stuff there, but how would they be able to reach you easily?
Yeah, Instagram, I still run my account. Facebook, if you just put my name, Bryan Casella, you should be able to find me on all platforms and message me because I still run my social media myself. So if you DM me on my Facebook personal page or Instagram page, I'll get back to you for sure.
Awesome. Well, BC, I know you always stay in great shape and you're doing things. So the last question I have for you today before I let you go, what are some things you're doing there from a physical standpoint, nutritional? I mean, how's that for you?
Yeah, man. So I'm still hitting the calisthenics hard. I'm kind of scratching the surface of the more advanced stuff. So the progress is a lot slower, which is frustrating. It's taught me a lot though about recovery and all that, because I'm 40 now, dude. So I have to really be intentional with how I pay attention to my body and recovery. I don't recover like I did when I was 18. So I still feel good. I'm still performing at a high level. It's just I don't recover in 12 hours or 24 hours like I did back then. It takes me like 2 or 3 days to recover from these intense workouts. So that's been kind of like a battle, so I've been doing it just like our last podcast. So I've been slowly progressing in that. From a diet standpoint, I've changed stuff up a little bit. A long time ago, I went plant-based for a long time, felt great, started having issues in the end of 2023. Changed my diet in 2024 around the time that we did our first show, which is about a year ago now. I kind of did I went like the opposite and had pretty much mostly like meat and fish and that kind of stuff. That seemed to fix my stomach and alleviate some of the issues. And since then, I've incorporated other things, but slowly, because what I found was I was having potentially like allergic reactions to certain things. So I slowly started incorporating things. Like now I get honey from like a local farm here in Florida. I'll have some of that. I have there's another Southwest Farmers Market, right? Shout out to them here in South Florida. They do a lot of like the raw dairy stuff. So I'll get like raw cheese, maybe some kefir, like yogurt, that kind of stuff. Maybe a little bit of vegetables, a little bit of broccoli, cauliflower, asparagus, I'll throw that in. But I would say it's still primarily 70-80% meat, fish, eggs, chicken, that kind of stuff. And I'm in that mode right now of finding what that perfection is for me. And I think like the last couple of weeks, I've started to get in that mode where I'm feeling really good, really vibrant, not getting cramps anymore. I got my color back in my skin fully, it seems like. So I think my system is finally good to go. But the thing is though, bro, a lot of that has to do with paying attention and prioritizing it. I know so many people that if I go to the gym, that are 18, 20, 25, I can outperform them because they don't take care of themselves. And I'll have conversations with these kids. I'm like, dude, you guys are in your prime, not even yet. Like, you could do whatever you want and get away with it. So if you're struggling now, by the time you're my age, like, come on, dude, like, what are you guys doing? But then you find out they eat candy, they drink, they smoke, and they're not taking care of themselves. So as long as I feel good, that's the whole motivating and driving factor behind this. I want to be able to train hard and feel good. I know if I feel good, my libido's high, everything else is fine, because that's an underrated factor in success. Because you asked me earlier about the traits. You have to prioritize your health. And that was one of the main reasons that I wanted to really start making money, because I knew it would require more money to really focus on my health. And that's a staple for me. Peace in my life and feeling good. If I have that, then everything else is going to get taken care of.
Brother, I don't know anything you could say better. That's awesome.
Appreciate it, man.
That's awesome, man. Well, BC, before we wrap it up, is there anything that I've missed that you need to throw out there for the people? Anything you've got upcoming or events that you're having? Or
No, man, I just think people need to tune in more to Podcast on Wheels. That's it.
hey, I can't argue with that, brother. So, hey, BC, thanks again for coming on.
Man, I appreciate you, bro.
All right. And thank you guys for listening to Podcast on Wheels. And if you guys gained any value from today, please subscribe and go give BC a follow. And let's get those YouTube numbers back up. Thank you, BC.